Debt. Just hearing the word debt makes us feel uncomfortable, right? Of course, yes. Because we have been told since childhood that a debt is a bad thing. Don't ever take debt. So this is what we used to hear since childhood. Today, I want to share my interesting perspective on why a debt is not really a bad thing. To be frank, debt is not the real villain. If we use it wisely, debt can become our best friend. Debt will help us to grow in our life and career. Debt will help us to jump from poor to middle class or middle class to rich. Yes, that is all possible. I will share my perspective on it. Ever wondered how the richest people in the world build empires and large businesses? They keep on becoming rich and rich and rich. We see millionaires becoming billionaires and trillionaires, but how is it really possible? Do you think they spend their cash or savings on building businesses? Never. They use debt as a leverage to fund their businesses, to expand their businesses. That is how rich people would actually build their businesses. The rich never see debt as a burden, instead they see it as a leverage. Even if you can take the richest people in the world, Elon Musk, he took a loan to fund Tesla. Even Mukesh Ambani, he always prefer loans to expand his businesses. You can take Adani. You take an example of whoever the richest person that you know. Everyone rely on debt to build their empires, to build their businesses. So debt is not really a bad thing. Imagine you are standing on a third floor and you want to reach to second floor and there are no steps or elevator or whatever it is. You only have two options. One is use ladder to reach the second floor or jump from the third floor. The rich always prefer having a ladder to reach the second floor because they know that is the only way that they can reach the second floor. But they want the middle class to choose the other option, like jumping from the third floor. We feel like, okay, it's risky one, so we never do that. We always stay on the third floor. So that is how middle class in general think. But why the rich and the successful people always discourage the middle class to not take debt? Here is the shocking part. The rich love telling the middle class debt is bad for you. You always hear from them that, okay, debt is bad, debt is not really a good thing to grow. So this is what we will hear from the rich and successful people. Because if middle class knows the secret of building wealth, then they will climb the ladder too. That's the point, right? So that is not something that rich wanted middle class to do. If middle class take the leverage of debt and build businesses and build wealth, then ultimately no one want everyone to become rich. So that's the reason you only hear debt is bad kind of phrases from the rich and the successful people. So yeah, debt is not really bad. So that is what at least I got to know from the experience that I had, from the interactions that I made with people, from the conversation that I had with business people. That is what I'm able to get it. The rich never practice what they preach. They will borrow billions at low interest rates to fund their businesses and enterprises, but they want all of us to listen horror stories about credit card debt, loans, etc. Of course, there is a point here as well. It's not that all the debt is good. No, there is a good debt and there is a bad debt as well. For example, if there is a person who took a loan to purchase an iPhone, do you think it's a good debt? No, it's a bad debt. Because the phone or the thing that he had purchased 2 years later, he's still paying off the debt, but the phone's value is already dropped by more than half. Even the same is applicable for any fancy item. If you are making a debt to purchase something which will go down in value, then that's a bad debt. But what is a good debt? Anything. If you're funding your education, or if you're making an investment, like you're purchasing a land, or you're starting a business, that's a good debt because you know you will get succeeded. So it's a good debt. So anything that you take to improve yourself as an individual or as a business, then that's a good debt. You can even purchase a home or a land which, if you believe, it will appreciate over time. See, anything that will grow over time, then I will say it's a good debt. It's not really bad. But anything that will go down over time, then ultimately it's a bad debt. So you need to find the difference between good debt and bad debt. Good debt is always a good thing. because that's the only way we can expand things, we can build businesses, or we can grow ourselves. Even like it's applicable for students or like professionals as well. Like if you want to learn things, it's okay to spend money on. Sometimes like if we feel like we're short of money, it's okay to take loan or to take debt to fund our programs, to fund our education, to fund our learning, because eventually we are going to learn something that will help us in reaching heights. So anything that will help us to grow or help the things to grow is a good debt. So this is something that I wanted to share in this video, because like quite often like I see it is like, don't take debt, don't ever talk about debt. Like this is what I used to hear since my childhood. I also used to believe on that, but now I finally got to know that okay, not all debt that we discuss about or talk about is really bad. There is a good debt as well. So I hope you choose the decision of whether to go for debt or not wisely. If it's something that's going to benefit you, go for it. Take the leverage of debt. Thank you for watching. If you feel anyone else would benefit from this video, or anyone else try to influence you on why you shouldn't take debt, share this video with them. Thank you for watching.